Hello and welcome to Kit's Photography. I'm Kit from Bremac Photography here in sunny South Australia. Welcome to my channel. Hello and welcome to the episode. This time I'm talking all things tripod and tripod head. So it's one of those things when starting out as a photographer, which tripod do you go for? Now tripods can range from $50 to tens of thousands depending on what you need it for. And it's important to get one that's good for you but is a good all-rounder, I believe, because you can get very, very specific tripods which basically do one job. So for instance, in film, there are lots of tripods which you can use just for film, just for a stable shot, and that's it. They can be very heavy, very cumbersome, and they're designed just to sit in the same spot, or perhaps go on a gimbal. But really when it comes to it, it's really important that you get one which suits your photography. So in this episode, I'm going to go through quite a few that I use, and perhaps you can learn something along the way. There are lots of brands of tripods and they do vary in quality, they vary in standard, and you really do pay for what you get. So the first tripod manufacturer I'm going to talk about is Manfrotto. That's an Italian company that's been making tripods for as long as I can remember. And I've had a few Manfrotto products over the years and they have been really super reliable. Now I've had this head here for about 10 years now, and it is a workhorse. It's really good. It is a photography specific head though. Now, the thing that makes these ones unique is it's got a Manfrotto plate, which means you push a little button down here, you flick that up, and that allows you to remove the plate. Now, these are really good. Camera fits on that. You put the camera in here, plonk it down, locks into place. Really reliable, really good. The only problem is that you have to have a Manfrotto plate to fit in there. And these are quite expensive and they're not really universal. I do have a couple of Manfrotto off-market plates. This is a genuine Manfrotto and they don't really quite fit in as well as they should. But overall, this is really good. You can adjust the axes by twisting this and you go like that, or with this one here, go like that. This is spring-loaded to try and keep it level, which is great, and it's a really good tripod. The other thing that makes Manfrotto really good, you can see in here there's this sort of beveling just in here. What that actually is, when you screw a Manfrotto tripod leg section on, you can put screws through which hold that in place, so it's not going to screw off by accident. Again, that's a really good plus. But with Manfrotto, you may not necessarily need something very big. So you can always go for something like this. Now this is a tiny little tripod here. I've used this one heaps. It's like a little spaceship basically. And you push this button in here, which allows you to twist the head around like that. And then it locks into place. These are really sturdy. They're about $50. And I reckon they're worth it. I mean, it's so strong. It is made of plastic, but it is really strong. And it's great for video cameras, especially smaller ones, because you can just plonk it down on the ground when you need to. And if you've got something like a GoPro or one of the Nikon little cameras as well, you can hold it up and you've got yourself a little handle. Great stuff all around. So the next one I'm going to talk about is this one here. Now, this is a Manfrotto Fluid video head. Now, the reason it's called fluid is there's literally fluid inside the joints here. So it's all designed so that you can unlock a switch there and then you can turn this and it adjusts how much fluid pressure goes in there. So you really have to push against it, which means you get a nice slow movement, a fluid movement in fact. Same goes for this axis, you unlock that and then you can turn this and it adjusts whatever fluidity and pressure you need. Now, you saw before the Manfrotto plate that I had for photography. This one here has a Manfrotto plate for video, and I'll show you how that works. I've got here my Sony broadcast camera, and on the bottom is a Manfrotto video plate. Really easy. This just clips in like that, and you see it actually can't fall out. So even if I just go, whoop, and it unlocks, all it does is just get caught because it has this little catch here. Now on the other side, there is a little thing that you do up. This one here. You really have to do it up and do it up and do it up. But once that's done up, this is really, really tight. Now I used this camera for a photo shoot this week, in fact it's a video shoot, and it worked really well on the tripod, really beautiful fluid movements. Now to get this off again, first thing you do is you undo the safety catch. Once you've done that, you push the button in here. So draw that back, push it in, and your camera's out. Really, really easy. And this makes for an excellent tripod head. Now, being a Manfrotto, this is actually a Manfrotto tripod. And in fact, it's the tripod that came with my still head that I showed before. And because this is a Manfrotto head, you can screw in those little bolts around under here, which hold it in place. And it's really, really good. So when it comes to tripod legs, this is what I use for my photography in general. It is a really, really good workhorse. I've had this Manfrotto for years and years and years now, and it works beautifully. It's getting a bit worn out, but that's because I use it all the time. And the lock-in-place extendable legs are great. It doesn't weigh very much, just a couple of kilos, and it is really, really stable. And one of the beauties of a still tripod is the fact you have an extendable stalk here, which means with video tripods you often have a half ball cup, and essentially you really can't do very much with that other than video. But with one of these you can do both quite successfully. So the next tripod head that I've got here is made by one of the other tripod giants called Slik. It's this one here. Now this again has been an absolute workhorse for me, and you know, I do like to change my heads around quite a bit, which is why this one's not attached. So this one's a video and a photography one, but it's not quite as stable as the Manfrotto. Now the reason I say it's for photography is it's actually got this little thing here which you twist, and you can tilt the head up like that. I've got it stuck down at the moment because I've been using it just for video. But again, it's got a quick release plate just like this, and it has the Sony attachment just there for video, which means it holds it in place. Really easy, in there, tap down, lock in place. Really, really good. But again, it's quite light. Now you're probably asking, well, where's the tripod? Well, the tripod is just there. You're actually sitting on it right now. So that brings me to the next variety of tripod and tripod mounts, which is something called Arca Swiss. Now Arca Swiss is a brilliant concept in photography plates, so the mounting plates. It's a bit different from what I've shown you so far, whereas the other ones are manufacturer standards. These are just the size standard, which means essentially one fits all. So let's have a look at these. So I have a full tripod mount at the moment with the Arca Swiss on there, as you can see. It's a pretty big unit there, but that really holds it in. This is great for video and for photography, but especially photography. Now the best things about an Arca Swiss is that you can just clip it in and that's done. Now I've got an L bracket hooked onto my D850 just here. Now you can see these two little dots here and here. What they actually do is they prevent your camera from slipping. And I'll show you what I mean. So here is an Arca Swiss double plate. So I've got a plate on the top and the bottom. So I'm going to attach this on here now. That just goes on there, and I do up this. I'm not going to do it up fully, just to demonstrate what I'm talking about. So this is not done up fully. So I can still move that, but I can't get it out because of those two screws. It won't go any further. So it's, even if it gets loose, it's not going to fall out. So do that up nice and tight, and that is really, really strong. Now this can fit on any Arca Swiss product. But the other thing that's really, really useful with one of these is an L bracket. which you can get with Manfrotto, but not really in the same way. So this one here, I can now mount my camera like this and do up the thing there, and there you have a vertical shot. It's great. It's really, really useful, and these really are a great investment for any photographer because of the fact that they are so universal and so helpful. I use them all the time. I mean, right now my Blackmagic camera is attached to one of these because it's the easiest way to lock it in. Now obviously if you're doing straight onto a video tripod like this one here, then a Manfrotto would be great, but you can always mount an Arca Swiss to one of those. And the beauty of that is nearly all of them come with holes, which means you can put other screws in. And that's very, very useful. I mean, this one here, you can now mount a second camera to it, you can mount a flash to it, all sorts of things. And it's really, really excellent. Now there's one last tripod I'm going to talk about today, and that is this little one here. Now this is actually a replacement to one I've had for about 12 years, and it took a walk somewhere. So I got this one for $20 secondhand, precisely the same one though. Now this is quite an old-fashioned tripod for the fact that it doesn't have a mounting plate. You just screw it in. Now I used to use a mounting plate on this, but I found, as I said, it was a Manfrotto knockoff, and really it didn't work very well and it got jammed. These ones here are great though. They do work effectively as a regular tripod. They're just really small, and that can be really useful. You're probably thinking to yourself, well, would you ever use something like this for one of your large cameras? And the answer is yes. So I have used this with my D850 with a 200 to 500 millimeter lens attached. I've attached this to the lens, and then you can use it as a mounting plate essentially on something like a table or a rock, or if you're doing sporting events, on whatever's in front of you. You lock that down, you put your weight on here, it just gives you that third little area to hold it down. And you know, this little device turns into quite a large unit essentially, but they really are excellent. And I would suggest everyone get themselves a miniature tripod like this, or like the Manfrotto, just to chuck in your bag, because you never know when you might need it. Well, that's about it for Kit's Photography for this time. I'm sorry I haven't brought you something more out and about. I have been out and about a lot this week. I have done quite a few shoots. I've actually done 3 fully professional shoots this week, and I've got some great images from one of those shoots which I'll bring to you as soon as I possibly can. But it has been absolutely flat out. That's why we're only doing tripods today, but I hope this has been helpful, because when you buy tripods, it's really important to get an idea of what you want and what you need. And sometimes it is easier to buy a head and then some legs, or as a package together. But it really depends on what you need. And what I would recommend for everybody is shop around. Shop around, shop around, shop around. Because it really does make a difference. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Kit's Photography. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.